Hey, this is Alex with the Unbiased Trailblazer podcast. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Unbiased Blazers. There's a link in our bio for our Discord server where you can join in on the discussions, give us your takes, give us comments, or simply just join in on a podcast. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please rate and review our show. And if you're listening on Spotify, there's a new feature where you can rate our show as well. Now, let's get to the show. Rip City, baby.
3, 2, 1, 0, 0.
Lift off and the clock has started.
What is going on, Rip City? This is episode 42 of the Unbiased Trailblazers podcast. I'm Alex. I've got Fawad here with me tonight. How are you doing, Fawad?
I'm doing good. How are you?
We're doing good. This is a strange episode because it's on the weekend, but I just want to start off by saying this. Thank God this season is over. Well, technically not over, but technically it's over. We're locked in with our
For all intents and
draft.
purposes, so
Yeah. This last game that we have, I think it's tomorrow against Utah. It doesn't really matter whether we win or lose. But
I would love if we just brought back everyone like Dame and.
wouldn't that
Timo.
be awesome?
Yeah, since it doesn't matter anymore.
And it's a home game, so you get one game. But I just wanted to say this. It's nice hearing the tank finally pulling into the garage and shutting down. It's been a long season, and we're going to get to it in a little bit about our feelings on the whole season in itself with tanking, but it's nice to hear the garage door slowly shutting behind that tank because it was difficult to watch. But let's go ahead and let's talk about the season in general. This is going to be quick because everyone pretty much knows. As of right now, we are 27-54. It could end up being 28-54, or it could be 27-55. We're on a 10-game losing streak, so anyone needs to take notes on how to tank. I think we're putting down a pretty good training lesson right now. At one point, who do we play where we blew the lead just the other night? Who was that?
AC?
Was it? Oh yeah, OKC. Oh man. Oh, that was. Oh. I was legitimately impressed at how much we went into full tank mode in that fourth quarter because I stopped watching. This is such a crazy year because I'm like, dang it, we're gonna win, and I was getting like not frustrated that we were gonna win, but I was just like, it kind of makes things a little more tight now that we're gonna win this game. But we pulled off a epic collapse, if that's what we want to call it, because I kind of have a feeling that's what it was. I kind of noticed that the Thunder made a little bit of a run and Chauncey didn't call timeout and didn't make any subs. He kind of just kept everybody in there, and it was just like you could tell. It almost seemed like Chauncey was kind of like, we got too big of a lead. We need to let them come back a little bit. So I could be wrong. That's what it looked like to me. But like I said, 10-game losing streak. It's been a long season. Usually the win-loss records usually flipped around. We're somewhere around 50 wins and 20 losses. So having it the other way around it's been very weird. Anything you want to add about just the season in general before we move on a little bit?
No, I mean you touched most of it, and we've been talking about it for weeks now. That's it is what it is. I'm glad the season is pretty much over. The only thing really left now is the actual lottery, which is quite a bit away. But yeah, that's I think over the last month or whatever, I've said enough about our season.
Yeah, so you brought it up. The lottery is on May 17th. And honestly, I just thought of this when you said this. So I'm going to put this in this podcast, and I hope the people that are listening can give us give us their answers, their thoughts on this. What do you think, Fawad, about doing some kind of watch party through Discord for this lottery, this draft lottery that comes up on May 17th? What do you think about that?
I would be down. It's really short. Like I think the actual announcement takes like 10 minutes. So
Yeah, It's not long, so which honestly is probably better because no one has to commit to watching an hour of people
Yeah.
just holding up
So
signs of logos. But
yeah, so I
I
think it'll
think it
be a
would be
fun
fun.
little event. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun to get everyone together and just have a good time, and maybe we get lucky and pull off the good old jump from 6-1, and Brandon Roy shows up and gets us that number 1 pick. But let's go ahead and let's talk about this. Let's talk about the draft and where we're at and everything. So, like I said, the lottery starts May 17th. That's when they're gonna do the draft order. And like I said, we're as of right now we're sitting in 6th for the draft position. We have the 6 best lottery odds at this point. We have a 9% chance at moving into the number 1 overall pick, which I wish I could remember when we moved up to number 1 when we drafted Greg Oden where we were, but I think we were pretty close to this, weren't we?
Yeah,
I know
I
the
think
odds were a
6 or
little bit
7.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the odds were a little different, but we're pretty
I
close
think
to
they were
this.
lower,
So
if anything.
I think actually they were. So 9% chance to get number 1 overall pick, and I don't want to say this wrong. I think 37.2% chance to move in to the top 4. I really, really think moving into the top 4 would be a huge benefit to us. I think, like we've said the last couple of podcasts, having Nick on there and talking about all the different draft players, I'm really hoping we get Keegan Murray. And right now, I think they're projecting him at number 5, so we'd have to move up at least 1. But anything can happen. We could go. I think the worst we can be is the 11th pick.
Yeah, I think so, but it's oh no, it's actually the 10th, but it's so little chance
Yeah,
of
it would.
0.1%
Some
chance.
crazy stuff would have to happen for us to be the 11th. But somewhere around 5, top 5 would be nice. But let's see what happens. Maybe we get super lucky again and we get number 1.
For what it's worth, we were 7th in 2007 when we jumped to number 1, and we had a 5.3% chance. So it's
There you go.
9% this year is definitely a lot higher. But yeah, I think it's important also before the lottery happens, just keep in mind, 6 best odds doesn't mean we're 6th at worst. We can drop, even though 10 is unlikely. I think dropping to 7 or 8 is very likely. I think it's 48%, something like that we move down compared to jumping into the top 4. So don't be too disappointed. It is definitely possible that we move down.
Yeah, I mean, essentially any team that moves ahead in the draft is going to drop us. So it's just as easy we could drop, but I'm going to pray that we get at least top 4. But I right now, looking at like a lot of the mock drafts, the 6th pick is AJ Griffin, which isn't a bad pick. He's a very good shooter, and
I think Nick was pretty high on him too.
Yep, Nick was high on him, and that honestly would not be a bad pick for us. But I'm really big on Keegan Murray now, and after that podcast with Nick, I went and watched stuff on him, and I truly, I hope we get him. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Or even higher, like if we get like Banchero, that's great too.
Those are my 2 targets right there.
Yeah.
So obviously we know we're locked in there at the 6th. What is in question right now is the New Orleans Pelicans pick. If it is in the top 4, which let me look real quick. As of right now, they are the 11th best odds, and they have a 8.5% chance to be top 4. That's not the issue that we have to worry about. The issue is if they make the playoffs. They've made the play-in.
Okay, no, go ahead.
They've made the play-in, so they're gonna at least get a chance at the playoffs. Worst case scenario, if they make the playoffs, we do not get the pick. What ends up happening? I know a lot of people have asked what happens if we don't get the pick. Is it ends up turning into a 2025 first-round pick from the Bucks, which
is considerably worse.
Yeah, I'd be more likely like to have the Pelicans pick. So let's hope that's not what happens. Now, hey, maybe something crazy could happen in 2025, and who knows? But
Yeah, I mean, 3 years in NBA time, like it is quite a lot of time. Things can change, but it's not. At this point,
injuries can happen.
I wouldn't expect at this point. I wouldn't expect it to be too great of a pick.
Yeah, I like our odds better with the Pelicans than I
Giannis
do
is
with
only
them.
like what 26. He's not going to be. He's still going to be kicking it at
Yeah,
2025.
he definitely is not going anywhere. So that's what happens if the Pelicans do make the playoffs. If their pick falls after 14, they get to keep their pick. So top 4, their pick. Anything after 14 is their pick. And actually, let me look real quick. They're in a pretty good spot. They get the Lakers pick.
Yeah.
So
I
right now
wish
the Lakers.
I wish in the trade we got the choice between. I mean, not the choice, but like if it didn't convey, if their pick didn't convey, I wish it switched to the Lakers pick.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
they're gonna make out pretty good here because they're either gonna get some playoff experience and then potentially a top 8 pick, or they're gonna get well, actually, I guess if they made the playoffs, they'd get their pick back too, so they'd get 2 picks. So yeah, they're in a good spot right now.
Yeah.
I think Nick's the Pelicans fan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Nick's feeling good right now about his team.
Either they make the playoffs and they get 2 top 15 picks, or they miss the playoffs and you have potentially 2 lottery picks if they jump to the top 4, or not even lottery, but like really good.
That's true. They are in a good spot. Damn. Damn. So anything you want to add as far as the draft goes?
Not really. I just wanted to say that I hope that if a team does jump us, or not even just jump, but like whoever the 5 picks ahead of us are, if we are 6, I hope some of them are teams that need a guard. So then people like Shaden Sharp or who is the other guy, Jaden Ivey, or he's already marked ahead of him. But just to make sure that the guards go first before these bigger wings that are like we need. So I just hope some way we end up with one of the good guys, Jabari, Bankero, Chet, Keegan Murray, one of those guys.
Well, let's look at this real quick. We weren't planning on talking about this, but let's look real quick. Houston, they just drafted Jalen Green. Who's their point guard? I'm trying to think of who their point guard is. This is gonna be ugly.
There's Kevin Kyle something Porter Jr.
That's right. Yep, that's right.
I don't know if he's a point guard though. Is he a point guard?
So, well, I'm gonna guess that they're probably looking at. Let's be honest; those top 3 picks are probably going to be the top 3 that's been all year. It's going to be between Chet, So those 3 guys are most likely going to be gone.
Yeah.
It's when you get to like Oklahoma, who probably doesn't need a guard with SGA and is Giddey considered a guard? I feel like he's more of a forward.
Yeah, I think he's a forward, but he can play make, so you can probably play guard as well.
So that'll be interesting what they do.
Too.
Dortz, yep, that's a good point.
He can be considered a forward as well, but he's undersized.
The Pacers have, the Pacers could be a team.
They have Halliburton, but
that could be a team that could need a guard.
Other than him, they're like starting fresh, so they'll probably just take whoever's good.
Yeah, they'll take the best. Yeah, their best option there. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But like you said, if we can get one team to pick a guard, that helps us out so much. Mm-hmm. That at least means that there's one, because I think as of right now, the top Ivy's in the top 4, which is who the Oklahoma City are projected to take, and he's a shooting guard. But Holmgren's a center, Smith's a power forward, Bankero's a power forward, Murray's a power forward, Griffin's a small forward. So if we're in the top 6, we're probably gonna get us a forward. It just depends on which forward we get.
That's true.
But anything could happen. It could go crazy. There's been times where players have been thought to be the number 1 pick or top 3 pick and they fall. So, I mean, Nasir Little was supposed to be a lottery pick and that didn't happen. And I'm glad we got him.
Yeah, he was like, I think coming out of high school, he's projected like top 5 or something, and he fell a lot.
Yep. And then once the draft started, or once college started, he was projected to be like a later lottery pick, but he was still projected to be in the lottery, and he slipped to us. I can't remember what we got him at, like 24 or something like that, 22,
25.
something like that, 25. So yeah, anything else you want to add on the draft itself?
No, there's not much we can do until the actual the lottery happens.
Yeah. So speaking of kind of knowing what we'll know, the play-in starts on the 12th. So next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. But the game we care about is actually going to be on Wednesday, and that's the Pelicans versus the Spurs. If the Pelicans lose, they are not in the playoffs because I believe they are the 10th seed, right?
Yes. Wait, no.
So if they lose,
Pels are 9th.
the Pels, they're 9. Okay. So that Wednesday's the game we're going to be paying attention to. Well, technically, if they lose 9 or 10, they're out. So whoever loses in 9 or 10 is out.
Yep.
So if they lose on Wednesday, good for us. Most likely that pick is going to be ours, barring some crazy outcome. Once Wednesday happens, if they do win, that's when things get a little more interesting because then there's one more game they have to play and win.
I honestly do expect them to beat the Spurs. But yeah, that second game is, I think, the one to watch because if the Clippers lose their first game, I think they'll definitely beat the Pelicans. But if it's the Wolves versus the Pels, I think that's going to be a toss-up.
So, 2 questions. First off, is Murray back for the Spurs? Because I know he was hurt. Is he back for the play-in?
He is not back yet, but I feel like
They probably will bring him back.
It didn't sound like it was going to be a big injury, so I'm expecting him to be back. Let me just search that real quick.
Yeah. While you looked at, like you said, the Clippers, if they were to lose and play Pelicans, they have Paul George back. It sounds like Norman Powell's going to be back for the play-in tournament.
He's already back.
Oh, is he already back? Oh,
yeah,
okay. I missed that.
He played one game, but then he had like 20, 22 or something like that.
Breaks his foot, comes back out and gets 22.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
And he had like
and then we got Robert Covington.
Half, so.
Robert Covington dropping 40. It's just Blazers are doing good.
I'm rooting for all the Blazers to do gonna play in, like, just make sure whether that's Zach Collins or Norman Powell, whoever beats the Pelicans, I'm rooting for them.
Yeah, unfortunately, these next couple days we're gonna be anti CJ because we need them to lose. So.
I mean, we can root for CJ to do well as long as everyone else sucks.
Yeah, as long as everyone else is bad, which sometimes has happened to us, where CJ's played well and everyone else has sucked. So,
and I think
highly possible.
I think Brandon Ingram's been injured for a couple games as well, but it's probably not something huge. So,
yeah, I think they said he was going to be back for the play-in, so I think he's back already, playing limited minutes. But I think by then they'll be playing.
I don't know if it was a rest thing or not, though.
Yeah, it could be. So. Let's talk about this real quick. At least for me, maybe not for you. This is my first experience with tanking. I've never been a fan of a team that is tanked. Let me think here. Football, the Vikings. The Vikings have just always kind of sucked, so they never really tanked because they just sucked. But basketball-wise, for sure, this is my first experience with tanking, and it's bad. Like, let's not lie. It's not fun watching us lose every night and watching us get beat by 30, 40 points. It's not fun.
Yeah.
But being a basketball fan in general, there are things that I have enjoyed watching. And it's something we've talked about before. And it's just simply watching these players that normally would not get to play, watching them develop and seeing what they have. And it's kind of exciting to see, like, how do I want to put this? For instance, let's say we don't decide to sign Eubanks. I don't know if he would have been picked up by another team, but after the way he's played for us, I guarantee you he's going to get picked up by somebody.
Yeah.
And he might have been picked up before this, but I mean, he was a free agent. He got waived and he was sitting there for a while before we grabbed him. I think, at least, if I remember right.
Probably at least a month.
Yeah. So he very well could have been on his way out. And so the tanking has provided, these players so much opportunity to showcase that they can play basketball, which is I'm questioning if I should even say this because I don't want to be a CJ Ellaby hater, but it just goes to show that some players, even given the opportunity, they just aren't meant to be on an NBA roster. And
But
I don't.
Even then,
I don't know.
let's keep it positive. We still gave LB the chance to start. How
Oh,
many games?
for sure.
That must
For
have been
sure.
a dream come true for him. So,
Like, let's be honest, he made it farther than I ever did. I mean, I'm not dogging on him at all. I just, as far as just like you see Williams and you see Eubanks and you see Watford. Some people like Perry. I'm so on him. He does do some things good. He does some things kind of just average and kind of like a G League kind of player. So, but let's just put this out there. I appreciate everything Ellaby's done for us. He's a hardworking, hustling guy. He makes plays for us on the defensive end a lot. He goes after rebounds, goes after loose balls. I will never say he does not give 100% effort because that's one thing I can for sure say he was always out there doing. Unfortunately, I just don't think. I don't know. I just don't think any team is going to pick him up, and I highly doubt we're going to re-sign him to any kind of deal.
Yeah, I don't see him being signed by us or anyone else. Maybe he'll get a G League team to sign him. Maybe overseas, but even all that aside, I think he did still give us a couple of good moments. That Philly game.
Oh, for sure.
That Philly game was definitely a great memory. I still remember. It was only a year ago, but it was definitely noteworthy. And he even had a stretch. I think it was earlier this year where he had a couple decent games in a row. So he wasn't he wasn't good, but he did still have I guess a couple things for us to remember him by. So,
well, first and foremost, we'll never forget that beautiful, luscious locks of hair that he had bouncing around the court everywhere he went. The ostrich is running strong. But, whether he signs with another team, whether he goes to the G League or, to the Euro League or wherever he ends up going, he's always going to be a Blazer. We wish him luck. I just highly doubt.
Root for the former Blazers wherever they end up.
I just highly doubt he will be on another NBA team. And maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I don't know anything more than anybody else, so maybe I'm wrong. But to me, I just don't see it.
Yeah.
But
maybe if you
the whole point of this, yeah, exactly. And maybe he does good in the G League and a team picks him up. Maybe he just needs more development time. Maybe that's all it takes. But the whole point of this was tanking it's not been fun to watch, but we have got to watch these players develop. How has tanking for you been? Is this your first time experiencing tanking?
I think the only time I've even come close would have been it's been so long ago I don't even remember it, but I'm from Toronto, so growing up the Raptors were not very good.
Yep.
So there was a year where I think we were the third worst team in, I don't know if it's the league or the conference, but I first of all I barely even remember that, and second of all, that was it was so long ago, but what do you call it? I wasn't following the draft or anything that closely, so I wasn't and it wasn't an intentional tank either. We were just terrible. So
sure.
This was the first blatant tank, and it was the first time I felt like we're tanking for a pick rather than them just being bad straight up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, so
was there?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So it was my first real tank. Same with you. The few positives aside, I did not enjoy it. If we get a good pick, then it'll be worth it. But we tanked as hard as possible, and we still only have a 37% chance at a top 4 pick, which is good. But I mean, it was not fun to watch, and it could very well not pay off, and we could end up with someone who's not very good. So I think, given the circumstances, since we were injured, I was okay with it, because we weren't gonna do anything this year anyways. But if if this happened in any other year, if we blew it up for the purpose of tanking, I would not enjoy that at all. It was very hard for me to stay engaged with the team this year, and part of that was just because I was busy like with other things. But even when I tried watching, like it's just hard to watch the team put out guys who no
Yep,
one has ever heard of,
exactly.
who aren't gonna be here long term. Not even long term, but most of them aren't even gonna be here next year. So it's not it's tough to stay engaged, and it's okay for a one season thing, but like please never again.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to sacrifice things that you have to do to sit down and watch basketball when this is what you're having to watch. So I get it. Yeah, it's tough. Um, there was something I just thought of while you were talking. I can't even remember what it was now. Dang it. Um, anything else you want to add on to that?
Um, There was something I was gonna mention a while back. I guess I'll just go back to if we're in a little bit of a lull. But we were talking about CJLB, about how uh he looks like probably one of the worst players in the league. But I don't know if you remember, but Cameron Payne, a few years ago, I think when he was with the Bulls, or he was like hopping around from team to team, he was considered to be, absolutely terrible. He was one of the worst guys in the league. And then last year he got so much better. He played a big role in a team that went to the finals. He's still doing good this year. So I think even though CJLB might have been terrible, this is like a backhanded compliment, but um you know, he can turn it around. He might improve. He might come back to the league in a few years, showing a lot more skill than he has right now. So it's not the I don't even know where I'm going with it, but he can get better.
Yeah, there still is a chance for him
But I don't want
to get better.
I didn't want to end his potential career. I don't want to potentially end his career on such a low note. So I just want to throw in something positive before we potentially, talk about him for the last time.
So I want to add one more thing before we start to wrap this up a little bit. One other thing that tanking has provided me, and there has been a lot of laughs that I've got to enjoy watching these Blazers play. And once again, no knock on any of these players at all. And, I think we all can agree that we know why a certain player is on the roster that sits at the end of the bench. But with that being said, Blevins has 100% provided some of the funniest things for the worst reasons. I mean, just the pure fact that one game where he kind of had he kind of went off for a little bit, and he was on Facebook. That's what the Blazers used as the game logo was Blevins scoring 10 points or something. It was kind of like a meme in itself. I think it was one of them where he hit 2 or 3 step back threes, and everyone was going crazy. But I just wanted to share this one moment because it was so funny. I'm sitting on the couch watching the game. I can't remember what game it was. And my wife's sitting there and she doesn't really pay attention. She likes to pretend like she does, but she doesn't. And he checks into the game and I'm sitting there and I'm going, oh. So I looked at her, I said, hey, just watch this. I truly, truly think this guy might be, one of the worst in the NBA. Like just watch what he does. Let's just watch for a second. The very first time I said that to her, he gets the ball. He passes it off. We shoot the ball. He goes in, which one thing I will say is he goes in and gets some offensive rebounds that I do not expect him to get. So I'll give him props to that. But he goes in, grabs this offensive rebound, and then he tries to power it back up and he loses the ball and the ball goes straight up in the air. And I'm like, oh God. He grabs the ball again and then it gets stripped out of his hand and they take the ball and they go down. Very next possession, he gets the ball, he airballs a 3. And this is all within a matter of 2 possessions. And I'm laughing and I'm telling my wife, I'm like, this is just crazy. This is what happens every time he plays. Maybe a minute later, he gets the ball, he shoots another 3 and just wedges it right into the corner of the basket. And I'm like, This is the top tier basketball right here. This is how you tank. You get players like this, and it was just so funny. The one time I told her to watch, and he just does all these things you would never expect an NBA player to do. It was hilarious. Sorry, I went on a little rant there. It was just funny to me. So let's go ahead before we wrap this up. Fawad and I, we wanted to do something, and I'm gonna throw it to Fawad because this was his idea. We wanted to do a bracket challenge for the playoffs. So Fawad, if you want to kind of talk about it a little bit, let us know what it's about and kind of what it's going on with it.
Sure. So, me and my friends every year for, I don't even know, it's been like a long time now. I think 2015, 2016. At the start of, or before the start of the playoffs, we do a bracket challenge. And, it's like similar to March Madness, but obviously not as intense. We just all pick who we think is going to win each round, how many games. And then it's scored based on, getting the matchup right and getting the number of games right. And at the end of it, you just have a winner. So I was thinking we could do that with with us and with all of you listeners. We could set up a group and have you guys submit your brackets for this year's playoffs. I know the Blazers aren't in it this year, unfortunately, but just picking the other teams. And we were thinking we could give a little prize for the winner. I don't think we fully decided, but maybe something like a $10 gift card or something like that. But yeah, so we would set this up. The play-in starts Tuesday, but they don't. The brackets won't lock until the start of the first game, so we will have a week, or all of you will have a week to enter it, and it will open on April 11th, which is Monday. So on Monday, look for our Twitter, look for our Discord. We'll send out the link, and you guys can submit your brackets. You'll have about a week to do it, and then on Saturday it will lock, and but at the end of the playoffs in June, whatever, the winner will get a nice little prize.
Yeah, and truly, this is all just for fun. Let's just get as many people in as we can. The more people that are in there, the more fun it will be.
Yeah.
We can maybe get some a little friendly trash talk going in there on who's the smartest at picking games. When the Blazers aren't in, we got to figure out a way to enjoy watching playoffs that we don't get to partake in. So, one thing I did want to add, since the season is essentially wrapping up, is our schedule for podcasts are going to change just a little bit. We're probably going to do, most likely what it's going to be is every other week during the playoffs, we'll do a podcast just kind of talking about the playoffs and, if anything draft wise happens or, anything like that. And then once the playoffs are over and we're in the off season, it's going to go more to like maybe once or twice a month, or, if something happens, or, if we decide to do some kind of big group podcast or something, it's going to kind of slow down because truly you guys don't want to listen to us just talk about random things. And truly, we don't want to talk about random things. Once the off season comes around, there's not much to talk about. So that's going to be the schedule. It's going to slow down for just a little bit, and hopefully it'll go by quick and we can get right back into doing podcasts. But I mean, I don't know about you, Fawad, but I next month, May 16th, will be our 1 year anniversary and of submitting our first podcast out there. And first and foremost, let me just say this. When Fawad, Mike, and I started this, I'll be honest, I looked forward to doing a podcast, but I had no idea that if it would last a month, 2 months, 3 months. And here we are going on to about to be a year. And it blows my mind to think Fawad, who lives in Canada, I live in Oregon, Mike lives in Portugal. It's like we've created these friendships, not only with us, but the people in Discord, the people on Twitter, and also the other podcasts that we've joined and had people join. I mean, it's crazy to think. And first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to every single one of you that have listened. And I want to say thank you to Fawad for joining me and doing this podcast, because truly, I had no plans for it. I just wanted to talk Blazers basketball, and it's been so fun to do every week or every, as much as we can. So first and foremost, thank you, Fawad. Thank you, everybody that's listening. Mike, I know you haven't been on in a while, and I know it's tough to get you on. So still want to say thank you to you for all your commitment, staying up late. But we're going to try to do something special around May 16th. We have no idea what it's going to be, but we do want to do something. And essentially, I just wanted to say thank you, everybody. I know it's crazy. I know we say it a lot, but truly, we just do this for fun, and we do this for the love of the Blazers, and I appreciate every single person that listens.
Yeah, so 100% same for me. You reached out to me probably around a year ago now, because I think it was a couple of weeks before our first actual episode.
Yep.
So thank you for reaching out to me. I'm so happy and lucky that we actually got to do this. And same with you. I didn't think I had no expectations. I thought it was something we could just do for fun. Maybe people listen, maybe not. I thought we would get maybe 5 to 10 listeners ever, and that might just be it. But some of our episodes have gotten over 100 listens, and that's insane to me. I didn't think that would happen. And it's 100%. 100 listeners is not huge in the grand scheme of things, but for us, every single listen is, we appreciate every single one of you, and it's just it's still crazy to me.
Yeah, it's funny you brought that up. I literally yesterday, or it was yesterday. I was looking at our past episodes and seeing the listens, and just all of a sudden we go from 10 listens to 20 listens, and then from 20 to 40, and then it was really consistent with 40. And even then at 40, I was like, holy cow, we got 40 people listening. That blows my mind. We're just random people talking about basketball, and we got 40 people listening. And then it went to 100, 130, and I was like, oh, we're making it now. Here we go. Let's do this. We're gonna get 400 now, 500 now, and it could go back down to one person. And to me, what we have done in this 1 year has been so fun. And I know this is not the 1 year anniversary, but we're getting all sentimental here. But it's just, like Fawad said, like I said, we appreciate every single one of you that's listened, that's talked in Discord, that's talked on Twitter. I mean, it's crazy. And I hope that we can go for another year. I hope we can go for another 2 years, and we just get more and more in here, and we just continue to have a good time. And the ultimate goal, at least for me, is to win a championship and get as many of us together as we can to be at a championship parade. I think that would be awesome. Also, another goal would be to have, all of us get together and go to a game at some point. There's so many things that we can do, and the sky's the limit. And before I keep rambling, I just thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. One last thing I wanted to say before we wrap up. If you guys are listening and you haven't done it, I know we haven't talked about this in a little bit. If you're listening on Spotify, you can rate the show, and it truly helps us just to know if you're enjoying it. And it also helps other people when they're looking for a podcast and they see that this podcast has 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, whatever it is. It lets them know that this is an enjoyable podcast to listen to. So if you haven't yet, please, if you feel like doing it, at least just click on that little rate button. 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars. I don't care what you put on there. Just however you feel the podcast is, that's what we want. And we just want to try to get as many reviews as we can on Spotify. The same with Apple. You can do the 5-star system, and you can also leave written reviews. It just helps. It lets us know where we're at. It lets other people know what the podcast is about. And any kind of review helps. And we appreciate anybody coming to us and giving us constructive criticism, telling us what can be better, what can be improved on. And once again, thank you all.
Also, on that note, speaking of ratings and reviews, if there is something that you guys want to see changed, or you think we could do better, we're always open to criticism, and we want to get better. So any feedback that you have, let us know, whether that's through the rating or on Twitter or on Discord. Please let us know. We want to get as good as possible. So I don't think you're being mean or anything. We want to hear all the feedback.
100%.
Good or bad. We want to hear your feedback. So.
Yep. And you can direct message us. You can put it just in the general chat. It's not going to hurt our feelings at all. If you think we sucked, let us know and tell us what we can do to be better. We want to know. And no hard feelings anyway. And honestly, I like it when people tell us like, hey, you could do this better, or
Yeah.
hey, this is kind of a little,
I actually
because
prefer
we
it
do. We
because
want
then you
this.
know that those are
Yeah,
the honest ones.
exactly. It lets us know what we need to make better because we do want everyone to enjoy this, and that's the goal. We're not here to make money. We're not here to try to get famous or, join the Blazers and be some kind of ambassador for the Blazers. We just do it for fun because we enjoy talking basketball. So, anything else, Fuad, before we close out?
Nope, just keep an eye out for the bracket challenge link on
Yes.
Monday, maybe Sunday night. I don't know when they'll open it up, but most likely Monday.
Yeah, we'll get it going out there. We'll make sure we give as much notice as we can for everybody, and I hope to see you guys on that bracket challenge, and hopefully someone can outbeat me because I'm going for a clean sweep on it, and I'm gonna get that $10. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever it is. It might even be more than that. Who knows? Anyways, other than that, I appreciate everybody listening. As always. Well, actually, hold up. This is the last time we get to say it while the regular season's going. So let me clear my throat here. Everybody, thank you for listening. It's been a insane, crazy season, but we're here at the end. Unfortunately, there's no more playoffs for us this year, but we have the offseason to look forward to, and it's only up from here. It literally, I don't think could get much worse than what we've had to experience these last couple weeks. Take that back. I'm not even going to put that in the podcast. It seems like it always gets worse when we say that. Other than that, have a great night, everybody. Thank you for listening. And as always, Rip City, baby.